guys, and welcome back to the vlog. This is part 2 of our course vlog here at Teravista Golf Club. So let's see what hole 10 looks like. Hole 10 is a par 5. There are some bunkers out there, but based on my distance, I knew that I had enough distance to carry both of them. So I was pretty clear. I just had to hit it somewhere down the center and let the fairway contour naturally take it. So what I didn't really realize was this entire fairway was kicking quite severely to the right. So even though I did hit the fairway, I actually ended up almost in the rough, which was kind of an awkward lie because it was kind of the lie that you are in between the rough and the fairway. So one of the things that you need to pay attention to when you are in this kinds of situation is just making sure that whatever you hit, it feels comfortable to you, because especially since this is a par 5, you don't really need to hit all that you've got. However, for me, I felt like because this fairway was pretty wide and there was nothing up there, I could just hit my through it and basically try to get myself as far down there as I could because there was really nothing to avoid. So for my third shot, I didn't learn my lesson from the tee shot. I definitely should have aimed more left. I ended up in the kind of rough-ish lie for the third shot, and it was kind of a weird lie because my ball wasn't sitting very good. And obviously, when you do not have a good lie, you need to understand that in terms of the club interaction with the ground in different lies in different situations, for this shot, I knew that my ball was probably going to pull a little bit. However, because it was a pretty short shot and I knew that I had a big green, I could just aim for the flag and basically give it the leeway of going left or right of the flag and still have enough green to work with that I know that I would be putting. Now you might be thinking, since I said the club was probably going to pull because of the rough, why not aim right of the pin? Well, because of the location of the pin, it allowed for ample space for me to miss left and right if I was to aim at it, especially with a wedge. If I were to aim to the right side of the pin and the club face did not close even though I thought it was going to because of the rough, I'm giving myself only an error to miss left of the pin because I'm already aiming right of the pin. So obviously, depending on you and your situation and your lie, it's always more advisable to try and find a target that's going to allow you the amount of miss that you think you're going to have both ways rather than one way, because especially when the lie is a little bit unpredictable and you don't really know what's going to happen, choosing the proper target that's going to allow you a bigger room of error is always more advisable because you're giving yourself an easier shot later on versus trying to only miss it one way when you don't really know what's really going to happen, especially when you're in tricky lies. So for some of you guys that are going to point out, yes, I did hit a second shot because as you could see, my first shot wasn't very good. And I wanted to know whether I had the right club if I were to hit it good or if I just had the completely wrong club. So as you can see, I had the right club, I just did not make very good contact with my first shot. Anyway, let's move on to hole 12. Hole 12 definitely had the most difficult tee shot on this entire course. This was a very intimidating tee shot because the entire left side is basically a no-go zone. And the right side, obviously there is a bunker as you can see. And I did not realize the fairway was as narrow as it is, because from here, obviously to me, it already looked very scary, but it was actually a lot more narrow, especially based on where I was landing it. So one of the keys for me when I face a shot like this, where I just feel uncomfortable, is there's two options. Number one is just take a shorter club. For instance, on this hole, I could have hit something where I'm not going to reach the bunker and I'm just going to aim towards the bunker because obviously the fairway on the right side is a lot wider. If not, I'm just going to choose a target further out and just focus on the target versus focusing on the things that I do not want to hit it to. If it also helps you, sometimes what I think about is, you know what, worst to worst, if I do hit it left, I am in the hazard, but the hazard isn't the end of the world. And why I think about that is because sometimes I think it's important to acknowledge what's the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen in this situation is I go in the hazard and make a bogey. However, if I do hit a good shot, it just gives me extra confidence to know that I can pull it off. So why not just try to hit the best shot that you can in the situation? So whatever you choose to do, make sure you commit to it, especially on holes where it's narrow or to you just feel intimidated or it's just a scary hole. Moving on to hole 14, I think you can tell from this video the back 9 at this golf course is definitely a lot more difficult in terms of tee shots. The front 9 was pretty much open and there was really nothing much to it. However, one of the things that obviously was difficult, as this is my first time playing this golf course, is you couldn't really tell what was out there. So I think you can tell from this video, it looks like the right side you want to avoid 100% because if you go there, you're pretty much dead. However, there is a lot more space down the right side than I thought. So I was aiming it down the left side just to completely take the right side out of play, but I ended up hitting it too far left and being in the bunker. Obviously, this bunker is no big deal. It is pretty far. I thought that I would want to take more club, and this is something that I tend to do in bunkers as well. I just take more club and open the face because I feel like this not only helps me launch it higher in the bunker, which is obviously one of the things that you want, but also between a hybrid and a 5-iron, obviously it's going to be easier to get a hybrid out of the bunker because you don't dig it as much as you do with an iron. So I decided to go with the hybrid there, but I definitely did not commit as much as I should have because I felt like I had too much club. So I ended up just leaking it way too much right and ended up leaving myself a really long putt from the other side of the putting green.
Lol, no pressure at all.
Hole 16 was a par 5, bunkers down the right side. Again, obviously don't really know what's out there, but based on what I saw, it seemed like I needed a draw because it would give me the opportunity to go for the green in 2. There was a lot more space down the right side than the left side. However, I felt like since it's a par 5 and I felt like I would be able to go for it in 2, it's worth it for me to try and cut the corner here. So I did try to play a draw here just to get that little extra distance and try to go for the green in 2.
So I think you guys could see that the back 9 was definitely a little bit more challenging in terms of tee shots. There are a few more tee shots where you couldn't really tell what was in front or what was on the left or the right. But I think overall it's a really well-maintained golf course. I like the grass, I like the fairways. I think it's very well cut and very well, what would you call that, like maintained. So I think I would definitely recommend coming here, even though it's pretty wide open in terms of shot hitting. I think as you can see, it's not that easy to make birdies because hitting into the greens are a little bit tricky because they tend to spin, so it really depends on which direction you spin at. And I feel like over here it's a little bit more of all carry like it is in Malaysia, where because the ball spins so much and it stops, that you need to carry it to the pin if you want to get it close. So that does make it a little bit tricky, and the greens are not that easy to read. But overall, really fun day. I'm glad the rain held out and it looks like it's about to pour again, but we made it through 18 holes.